Hello, everybody. My name is Ben Armstrong from Netherworld Haunted House. I'm joined by my esteemed colleagues, Alan Hops, right down there, and John LaFlamboy, right over there. But most
Hello.
importantly, today we have Rich and Jen from TransWorld. And we're here to talk about all the crazy things that have been going on in the haunt industry. Primarily, though, it's all about what's going on in the world. And we're all going through this together. We don't know what's going on with their businesses. We don't know what's going on with their friends. We're worrying about food. We're worrying about everything in the world. Sometimes it seems like a small thing, what's going on with us, but it affects the businesses of a lot of people. And we're here to talk about that today. So first up, we're going to talk to the folks from TransWorld, and they're going to tell us a bit about everything that led up to the show having to be postponed. So Rich and Jen, if you want to tell us a little bit about what you guys went through leading up to this, and why it took a minute to get the word out.
Yeah,
you started.
Well, we'll start from like 2 days before we ended up postponing the show. I could say we started seeing things change very quickly, and people started calling in, asking questions, and were asking what we were planning. Some people started showing concerns about canceling the show because they were seeing shows being canceled all over the country and different events. But weird thing for us is haunters, or I guess troopers, the attendance was just continued to climb. We were getting signups like we've never seen before. We were actually ahead of pace from the previous year by a large margin. And what shocked us was that we'd have some people calling in showing concern, and the numbers of people that were just not paying attention to anything and signing up. But I'll fast forward to the way I remember what occurred. I'm sure yours might be a little bit different, but I remember the night before, during the day, we had seen that the World Health Organization declared a national pandemic, or a global pandemic. And we were talking about it, and I was like, this is bad. Like, this is going to change a lot of things. And by the evening, we had a speech from our president, and I knew then that we were probably at a point where we probably needed to seriously consider shutting down the show. And I'd say about 5 a.m, our time, Central Standard, Jen had called me, and we were on the phone talking back and forth. And I started receiving all of these emails from major buyers, like a lot of amusement parks, and a couple of them had decided they weren't coming like maybe a week before because they were corporate bans. But by the morning of the day we planned on, we had to make the decision to postpone, we were just getting tons of them. And then we started getting texts and calls from our vendors, and there was massive concern. So at that point, we had made a decision that we were going to postpone the show. Some people were wondering why we hadn't went live with it and stuff, but we were doing a lot of things behind the scenes. We were getting tons of calls about what we were doing, and we called the convention center. We were in talks with them, discussing how we would handle this. One thing that really concerned us about going public with it was the hotel blocks. As well, most of you probably know, there are some haunted houses that bring 30, 40 people to our show.
Yes.
And yeah, and like John can speak to that. And I don't know the number of rooms that John reserves, but I would guess in the neighborhood of 15 to 20. And the rules are that the first night was guaranteed paid, and most people had already paid for that, and it was non-refundable. And some people had paid in full for the reservations all the way through. Most of the hotels were going to honor that, and they were going to give you the back end of your reservation. But the first night was gone. And we equated that to millions of dollars. And TransWorld was on the hook for hotels as well, like a massive number. So what we knew we had to do was we really reached out to the convention center, and they told us that they wouldn't be able to cancel the show. They only had one cancellation at the time, and we were kind of, their email pretty much read that they were open for business. And I understand their position, like it was tough for them too. They were put, in the last minute, being told that their show was going to be postponed, a show that was actually going to be happening in like 5 days. But at that point, we realized we needed help from the government. So we went directly to the governor and to the mayor. We had several calls in ourselves, and then we reached out to anybody that pretty much called us, because the phones were ringing so fast at that point that we really needed help from our attendees and our exhibitors. And John in particularly, I know he reached out to one of his members, and it just went pretty much viral from there. People were calling the mayor's office and calling the governor's office. And at one point, we got a call back from, it wasn't the mayor himself, but
The mayor's assistant.
one of the assistants that said, we're well aware of what's going on here, and your people are calling us like crazy. Can you kind of back them off a little bit? We're going to make a decision here. So it was kind of cool to see how people jumped in on this. Yeah, it was cool to see how everyone jumped in and really helped. And that's what was going on. And the guys that could get through to us, unfortunately, like my phone, I would be on a call. I'd be talking to someone. I'd get 16 calls while that was going on. And Jen was doing the same thing. And I just remember we were pacing back and forth past each other, talking to people, and it was nonstop. So it was just pure chaos. But in the midst of all of it, what we had tried to do actually worked. I mean, it took us 4 or 5 hours, and then eventually it was kind of funny. One of the people from the convention center reached out to Larry Kirchner, because the mayor had finally called them and said, "Listen, we're pulling the plug on this, and like all events are going to be canceled." And Larry called me and he's like, "Did you hear they're doing this? They're finally going to pull the plug on all major events in the city." And we knew at that point that would save everybody's hotel money. And it was a major thing for the industry. I know a lot of people are suffering now, but it would have been a lot worse than what it was. So that's what we wanted. It kind of, that happened, and we were very happy about that. And then we started, we still were getting a lot of calls, because at that point, one of our vendors, it's very powerful in the industry, he does a lot of business. He had to let his customers know. So he had sent out an email because he had heard from us that we were postponing the show. And when that went out, it kind of went viral across the internet, and people were saying a lot of things. And then some other groups had called us, the Halloween and Attraction Association had called, and I had told them that what we were doing, and they made a post. And there were some people that were upset with us because of the fact that we weren't able to put the news out ourselves. But the situation we were going through was really hard to actually do that. It wasn't that we were ignoring what we should do, and we know the news should have came from us. But some of those
you were
people
still
really,
in active negotiation too.
Yeah, it was almost an impossibility. I mean, we were on the phone with the convention center. We were on the phone, as Richard said, the mayor's office, taking all the calls in from the exhibitors, wondering when they're calling in because their freight's about to be picked up. I mean, I've actually never experienced a day like that before. My dad, who's been running shows for, 60 plus years, was like, I've never seen anything like this. He's like, even 9/11 wasn't like this. So it was really stressful. And, we apologize that we didn't have things done, in proper order, but there was just no way. I mean, it was just pure chaos. So anyone who called with help, we took the help from.
So tell us, so we got past that. It's amazing that you, with the help of the industry, were able to get those hotel rooms, refunded. That was a big deal, and I'm sure everyone's very happy about that. So the show is postponed. So right now you're looking for dates, but also in the interim, you're proposing a virtual trade show you're doing, because just to speak briefly to set that up, this is, our vendors are critical to the success of all of our attractions, and our vendors have worked. They spent all this time and money, just like you guys, to make this show happen. We were about to go there and see all the cool stuff and buy to have make our haunts better. And these guys have leveraged everything, every last dime they've borrowed. They've made all this stuff. They were ready to go, and now, they need our help. They need us to buy their stuff. So tell us what you've done with this virtual trade show, and what you're going to do now that the show is postponed.
Yeah, so where the idea came from, it was actually from Six Flags. They didn't ask us to do the virtual trade show, but when they talked to me about what they needed from us during the show, I'll explain how this actually all started. So about 2 weeks prior to the show actually coming to fruition, one of the corporate head guys, I just don't want to mention names online, but we were working on something for them that we were going to have a private room at the show, because they had already had a corporate ban for travel. And they were going to have a private room where we were going to do 2 1-hour sessions with exhibitors that we had chosen for them that were new, or ones that they had picked out that they do business with, where they could do a 5-minute pitch of their new products. So that got me thinking, and I said, I started getting more calls from other corporate businesses, and they were traveling bans. So I said, you know, we have like a sort of a industry duty here where we got to provide this information for our vendors because it's going to be a real problem. So I had reached out to a couple guys that were capable of doing filming. And years ago, when I first came to TransWorld, we used to film every single exhibitor at one time. And we used to do like a 5-minute spiel with them, and they would kind of talk about their products and whatever. And things, the show's gotten so big, it's gotten hard to do that. But I had put into place where we were going to film every single exhibitor for 2 minutes and basically just get their contact information, basic stuff, and a quick pitch on products. And then we started noticing we were getting enough calls that people were upset that they weren't going to be able to see seminars. So we had fully got all the camera equipment and put into place that we were going to film every seminar this year. And we've never done that. And the main reason why we don't do it is because the exhibitors need the buyers at the show. They don't need them at home watching a video. And that's where none of that works. You know, we need to be together, and that's kind of what TransWorld's become. It's been like a community for us all to be together. And we've avoided that. But this year, we had to do it. So that was what we were going to do. We were going to film the seminars, and we were going to offer those seminars to people that weren't able to come because of the virus. So we got to that point, and then fast forwarding, when the show all fell apart, you know, and we had to stop everything, we decided that we got to build a virtual trade show to try to help these vendors, because they're at a point where, like Ben said, I mean, these guys invested their life savings into coming to the show, and they do that every year. And they're not able to see our attendees now. So the next best way is, the way I see it, is the next 6 or 8 weeks, we're all going to be virtual. We're going to be online. We're going to be talking just like we are here. My kids are already doing Zoom meetings with their friends at school. It's interesting how it's changed, but that's where we're at. So the trade show.
Important note too, one thing, Rich, about that virtual trade show. So of course, all the vendors have begun reaching out to all their clients. Everyone's all over Facebook. They're emailing. They're sending 30 meg files that crash your email. They're doing anything they can to get the information out. But the thing that struck me when we spoke about this is you have something like 100 brand new vendors. These are people, we don't even know who they are. We haven't heard of them. They don't even know how to reach the haunters. So this virtual trade show thing is going to be, you're going to be able to get every one of your vendors' information up there, and hopefully videos from all of them. And then you're going to be able to also hit your entire database of attendees to come and look at this. So it's something we really need to get behind. We need to get behind every way to see our vendors, obviously. Thank goodness they're putting them up on Facebook. Thank goodness they're emailing us. We need to support the vendors, but there's so many out there that don't even have the means to reach us. So tell us a bit about all these vendors we haven't even heard of before.
Well, I mean, every year we usually get 50 or 60, but this year was pretty amazing. There's a lot of people that were just coming out of places from everywhere. We were getting a lot of calls of people booking booths that we didn't even solicit. So it was going to be pretty amazing. And there's some really good companies that are bringing in products that I was really excited to see at our show. And like, there was even one that's not even in our industry that I was super excited about. Well, not in the haunt industry, in the Christmas industry, that I was extremely excited about. And I felt bad for these girls because it was a new product that they come out with. And they actually had pulled the plug from exhibiting about 2 weeks prior to us doing it. And I was excited about seeing their product. And that's a story for pretty much everybody. There are so many guys in the haunt industry that had products that I was excited to have people see at the show. And like, there's in particular, like Unit 70 being at the show. They haven't been there in years, and he has amazing products. And like, I was so excited for Bo to come back and have these massive props, and he was putting them down on the right side of the show that is usually a little slower, and it was really going to change traffic and everything. And we were excited about it. And to have it all fall apart, it's just hard. But if there's anything I can ask anybody to do, and what I've been hearing from these exhibitors we're not used to shopping online, but I will tell you the number one thing that I get after the show ends, I get at least 500 calls over the next 6 weeks, and they're like, I met this guy, he was in this booth, and he had a skeleton, it was up on the wall, and it was green, and it moved, and I'm like, yeah, like, that's, skeletons and more. Like, I knew every guy. Like, I would know most of them, or I saw this video at your show, and there's like 23 million views, and there was this, guy swinging a kid, and that's the kind of stuff that we get. So I will tell you, this can work. Videos are very, very powerful. And the way we built this website is there's 5 things on there. and that are very important. It has everybody's contact information, so it's simple for you to find these people. It has videos of their products. It's going to have 2 SEO ads on there, and it's going to have a full description of what they sell. And as we get more time and we get more advanced with this, we need to get the initial website up.
We lost Rich's audio.
Yep.
And I don't know if their audio is going to come back real quick.
Yeah.
What's huge? I'm a vendor. What's huge about this on my end is the fact that they have 20 years of TransWorld's contacts, and the last 10 years of attendees they're going to send it out to. That's a huge help for all the vendors. You know, we can do stuff on our own, but you just can't target on social media people the way that TransWorld can, because, you know, they're targeting the people who come to their show, and that's who the vendors need to put their stuff in front of. Rich, is your audio back?
Yeah, Rich, if you can hear us, maybe give him a call and tell him to restart his camera or something. But let's just talk a little bit about, you know, this us as a community coming together. I think back to, so there's a number of years ago that it was the big show we all used to go to back in Chicago, and there's all this stuff that broke it up, and a bunch of the big vendors came together. And they all got together and they said, you know what? We think the TransWorld these are the guys to have the show work. They supported, they got behind them. And they said, these guys can make it work because they're going to buy the lists, they're going to spend the money, they're going to do everything they possibly can to help us. And so, you know, ever since that point, I was like, you know, I got to do everything I can do, because it's the industry where TransWorld creates the marketplace. The vendors build the product. We buy the product. It's super important that we all interconnect and we do this, and we all meet. And it was also super important that we have education. We teach people how to do things safely, best practices, business, so they have a chance to survive. So I was involved for many years. I'm still involved, but for about 10 years, I did the seminars, and I didn't want to even be known. There's no issues to me about that. I just wanted to support TransWorld and the industry. If the seminars were successful, people learned stuff. Also, seminars generated money that made the booths cheaper for the vendors. Otherwise, you know, there was always these rising costs every year. These places raised the price for TransWorld. So the seminars are important to generate money to keep the vendors' booths low, so that more vendors could vend, or vendors could have more booths. And then they kept raising, you know, those people keep raising the price. So eventually the show had to have a cost for buyers, and the buyers helped support the vendors. We're all here to gather, a gathering of the tribes, you know, to share ideas, to share our enthusiasm, to go see these incredible vendors, to support them, to buy cool stuff, to make our haunts better. And it's like a collective thing. We've decided that we're going to work together. And, you know, Rich and Jen and TransWorld, they have delivered. They've put everything, their heart and soul into this for so long. And, you know, and that's kind of what drew me to it. Eventually, I became really good friends with Jen, and we've done all kinds of projects together. But originally, it was just like, the vendors are behind these guys. You know, I'm backing them. I'm going to go with it. And, you know, it's been great. And that's kind of how I feel now. All of us together collectively have to kind of save this industry. It's going to be rough in the real world, and it's going to be rough on a lot of vendors. There might be vendors that have trouble, you know, continuing on. But whatever we can do as haunters, whatever vendor we can support, whatever product we can buy, you know, we do what we can do within our means. We have our own challenges. We definitely have challenges this year. And there's a lot of, you know, haunters that are wondering what to do. But you do need this stuff, and you do have these people you work with, these vendors you've known for 20 plus years, a lot of you, and you got to do what you can do. And I know a lot of you guys feel the same way. And I know, John, you do so much as well. Tell us a bit about your story with the show and the vendors and
Well, I mean,
your experiences.
I think everyone out there understands that, yeah, Zombie Army, TransWorld is always the beginning of our year. It's the start of everything we do. We don't just support I know a lot of people see us partying and having a great time. We do have a great time. But TransWorld is kind of that beginning to that circle for our entire business. The reason we've supported TransWorld is because you have people like Jenny and you have people like Rich that are fighting to make our shows better, fighting to make classes better, fighting to bring in vendors we've never seen before, fighting to bring us on tours all around the country. There's something about TransWorld, Legendary Haunt Tour, both of them combined, because I love them both dearly. But TransWorld, it feels to me like this is the big giant room that our industry is growing in. Not to sound too sci-fi, but it's like a giant petri dish in there, man. We all go to St. Louis and we throw all these
don't say
amazing.
that.
Yeah, I know. You throw all these amazing vendors and these amazing artists and these amazing owners and these amazing actors and innovators, and they all get in the same room, and we all make each other better. We all make each other better at doing this. I know I learn from vendors how to make my haunted house better. I know that going and talking to people at the bar about the tricks that they came up with that year, it makes me better as a haunter. Every time I go to TransWorld, I get better. My show gets better. My customers are happier. And it's because it really is a symbiotic relationship with us and the vendors that we make them better, they make us better. And every year it just keeps stacking bigger and bigger and bigger. And it really is an amazing industry. I mean, I got in this, oh my God, 22 years ago. And I remember like there were a handful of people that were owners that you knew. Now it's like owners are just sharing information here and there. It's this beautiful thing. And for me, going to TransWorld, yes, there's the buying, the business, the classes, but there's also this really great kind of festival feel to it that always gives Zombie Army that kind of energy to jump off and do really difficult, hard, risky things that year. I can't say enough about the importance of TransWorld. And I know there's lots of other shows out there, but they're not TransWorld. And here we were with our back up against the wall with a world pandemic happening. And I know Jenny and Rich went to bat for us and fought like hell to get us out of those hotel obligations. And I know Zombie Army, as a vendor, no matter what, it's tough, yes. But man, it would have been so much tougher if I was stuck with, I think it was somewhere around $10,000 in hotel fees. And if I had just gotten stuck with those, that would have been devastating this year. So I cannot thank TransWorld enough, especially in a time where I don't see a whole lot of great leadership out there. It was nice to see you guys take charge and have our backs. And I really, truly believe you saved vendors, you saved haunted houses. That would have been a big thing for all of us to lose. And conversely on your side, if we would have lost TransWorld in all of this, I don't think our industry would have been able to come back as much as I know we're going to be able to bounce back when all of this passes.
Yeah, it's Christmas Day. It's a gathering of all the good folks. It's the energy, it's everything. And Alan, you work year round with videos. You work on so many things. I know you teach so much at TransWorld. I'm sure you can't walk 5 feet without meeting people that feel like they know you and everything in your shop over there. Tell us a bit more about what the show means to you, both as a vendor and as a buyer.
Boy, yeah. I'm a vendor. I'm a buyer. I'm a teacher. I love the haunted house industry. That is what I have dedicated my life to, without a doubt. I don't really have any other passions or pursuits. I'm a haunted house guy. That's it. And I haunted before TransWorld, kind of started. And it was what I called goldfish bowl haunting, because there were techniques that were learned in that haunted house and they never left that goldfish bowl. And then, this other haunt over here, they had been doing a haunt on their farm for 10 years or whatever, or their, organization had this building where they did a haunted house and their tricks, and their techniques, but it was a goldfish bowl. And that was back when the mindset was, don't let those actors come through our haunted house. They'll steal our ideas. And that is the world that I was in when I went to TransWorld for the first time. And I went to the TransWorld for the first time, and it was, they're not worried about stealing. They're going to teach me. This is the best place ever, without a doubt. And I became a vendor The first year I went to TransWorld, I didn't know how to make masks. I became a vendor so I could afford to attend the next year.
Nice.
And the next year I vended. And I've vended with several different companies who I've worked for or that I owned or whatever. But it's all a sham so that I can afford to go to TransWorld and be with my people. It is the atmosphere at TransWorld is different than anything else. And I'm going to talk about, when you go to Vegas, there's an energy in Vegas, and there's always bells ringing, that ding, 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 ding. But when you get to the airport, you're like, okay, there's still some dings, but I'm sure glad it's quiet. Even with the Fright Props train horn going off every 20 minutes or whatever it is, I don't get that way at TransWorld. That's something that I can just immerse myself in, and the people there are amazing. Whether I know them or not, I know that they have the same passions that I do, and the biggest hurt in my heart is not seeing all those people. I know it probably looked weird to people. There might be a bit of a somber tone, but I was actually smiling at the beginning when we started this video up because I like these people. These people that I'm seeing in front of me, I like them. And I might not get to see them in person, but Rich is absolutely right when he said it's going to be a virtual world, and where we have to kind of carry that over a little bit for a little while. Our industry will recover. Our industry will survive.
Mm-hmm.
Many businesses will recover and pull through it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not all of them, but support your vendors. Those are the people who, yes, the attendees missed out on knowledge. They missed out on a good time. They missed out on some of that connectivity. But they don't have to miss out on buying stuff. They can still go to this virtual portal. They can still buy from the vendors. Any product, I think, will show up. And something that I challenge you guys to do who are watching, when you find a new product on that virtual portal, share it. Share their link.
Yeah.
And say, hey, Haunted House people, you might not have seen this in the 200 booths that have a virtual booth at this TransWorld website, but, look at this cool thing. Because I don't get to see the show when the show is up and running, and I know that, you guys don't always get to do that either. So I'm looking through social media days after I get back. I'm like, what the heck was that cool thing? And then I have to go back and
I like
look
going
and
to
find
everybody.
out. I'm like,
what do you like? What do you like? What do you like? What do you
I
Exactly.
have that talk with you every year on the floor, Ben. It's like every year we run into each other. Like,
I see.
Hey,
What do you
you
guys
see?
think is cool?
What
What's
aisle
cool?
is that in?
And because you might not get to see it, it's the same thing virtually. Help everybody out. If you see something that's awesome on that virtual website, something that's new, share it on social media. Share it.
And I know a lot of people, maybe don't see it this way because they're looking at the fact that they missed their chance to go to TransWorld. So, and yes, it's legitimate to feel heartbroken about that. Like we said, it's kind of like a friendship festival. It's legitimate to feel heartbroken that you didn't get to see your friends. But there's an economics, too, that we should all keep in mind because we talk about how the vendors and the haunted houses, we do have this symbiotic relationship, right? We support them. They support us. Without all these vendors and these innovators, our haunted houses would not be as successful as they are. I challenge you to think about this, that there are people like Kevin Albee. There are people like Adam from Poison Props who started building and investing their money in your haunted house months and months and months ago because they know you need it before a certain time. And they know every year we come by it because we need it to make our shows better. So they start investing cash to get those props ready, to have stuff to show you on the floor, to have stuff to sell you on the floor, and then to move stuff to your haunted house as fast as possible. A lot of these vendors are sitting on tens and tens of thousands of dollars of stuff they invested in a way for us as buyers, as haunters. They stepped up and they did their part, and this is tragic that the pandemic happened, and I know it's going to be difficult for people all over the country right now, but I challenge everybody that if you already buy from these vendors on a regular basis, buy something because I know when TransWorld has its next show, I need to see all these vendors there. The health of my show depends on these vendors being there. The health of the money I could pay my actors and everybody else out here depends on a healthy marketplace of all of these vendors. So I think we also need to look at at maintaining the health and vibrancy of this industry by reaching out to someone you already buy from, somebody new, but they risked on you. They already risked the money, and they risked it for all of us. They risked it for the whole industry. And this is incredibly unfortunate. And just think, if it happened 2 weeks later, we'd have already spent all that money. They'd already be relieved from all this. And then it would just be us holding on to all this stuff, wondering what to do. Try to reach out. Try to make sure you purchase something from vendors you normally purchase from. They need you to help them survive right now. And boy, we need them to survive if we want to have a thriving industry when all this is over.
Yeah.
Let's talk a bit about the challenges with this postponement. Tell us a bit about, guys, what are you talking about, dates? What are some of the things that are brewing around this postponement about possibly? Now, we're going to go, obviously now, like we've all said, we need to go support our vendors now. They need the money now. We don't need to wait. Mm-hmm. But you're still trying to put together the show. It's postponed, and you have this virtual trade show. But tell us about the postponement.
I mean, that's a really rough. Can you hear me, you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got you. We got you.
That's a really trying question to answer. I know that all of us have had that conversation, and we've talked to the convention center. I mean, I think originally when we knew we were going to postpone the show, we thought we could just roll it right into May. That it wasn't going to be too bad. We'd be late spring, that kind of thing. I think even people who called in and asked us, even though we didn't officially put anything out, that's what we were hoping for. Within 2 days of saying that, the CDC then went on, to the American public and told people that we shouldn't have gatherings for the next, 8 weeks over 50 people. I believe that was said, right?
Yeah, the city of St. Louis and the state of Missouri actually banned all large events over 50 people until May 10th.
Yeah, so it even got pushed out further. So
I feel like it's too dicey. Like I'm scared for a postponement and all as a vendor and as a buyer. A postponement kind of worries me a little bit.
Yeah, well, and as far as postponements too, I mean, I own an adventure park right now that we're supposed to be out there doing all this business. We're also closed right now, and we're postponed. But there's no possible way at all for anyone to say when that postponement's going to happen. It's just impossible. Everything changes every 4 hours. And I mean, you guys are in such a tricky position where people want to know desperately when the postponement is, but it's impossible for you to tell people when that postponement date can be. It's just not possible.
You're right, John. We've been in touch with a bunch of different trade show promoters as well, talking to them, and everyone's kind of in the same boat because no one knows where it's going to be. I mean, you can put a date on a calendar, but it doesn't mean anything. Right?
That doesn't help anybody, really. Yeah.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, I think the best bet, I mean, I like that you guys have just said you'll let us know when the authorities let you know. I think that's the best thing you can do, is once the authorities say we can start gathering again, then we could look at doing something again.
You're not going to hear.
So I got a question. What's going on with Midwest? I mean, that's kind of in the window.
No, that's a good question, Ben. Midwest right now originally was supposed to happen, I believe, the 4th or 5th of June. Obviously, no one's buying booths right now for Midwest hunters. So at the current time, we're looking at pushing that out to probably, I think July 23rd. We're tentatively penciled in. When I say penciled in, that's a light pencil. I don't know. We're looking at that for MHC. I just want to push that back right now. Mm-hmm. And if I have to roll into August with that, I know, John and I talked about that yesterday as well. It would go in August, but right now we're looking at July. I think June's going to be too soon at the current time. So MHC, we're looking at pushing back, a little bit later in July at the current time.
Yeah, as a vendor, I plan on going MHC heavy. That's my plan. When that, and I know that you have a date, but my plan as a vendor, I'm not speaking for all vendors. I'm just speaking for me because I do both shows every year anyway. I was going to probably get another booth and because I have all this cool stuff I made for TransWorld, and it's we are getting another show coming up, and if TransWorld gets pushed too far back, I think MHC is that bright spot.
Yeah. Well, I think what John said earlier too about the community and wanting to see your friends and being around each other. I think personally for morale, we need that. I think we need to get together and everyone to feel comfortable again, and almost like, I can't wait till I can hug somebody again. And like, I'm not, and you guys all know, I'm not a
You don't
guy.
hug.
No,
hands
I'm
up.
like, I'm a
Quickly.
sweetheart
Right.
inside, but outside I don't show that. And like, I feel like, God, I just want to hug somebody. I'm sure
funny.
a lot of people feel that way. So, but
Yeah, it's true. It's been brutal. I mean, it really has. I mean, I've never felt comfortable. The page that we put out to attendees saying, if there's any way that you could roll over your fees, into next year, and obviously they understand if attendees can and they need the money, we're fine with that as well. But
that's been tremendous.
This has been brutal. I mean, the whole thing of putting out all of the money and then at the current time not knowing, what's going to be for a postponed show or not is really brutal. But I want to say something, that the outpour of the community of just supporting us and saying, go ahead and roll it over, and people saying, we know you tried, and we know, this has been going on for a number of weeks as this thing's been rolling out. What to do? Do we keep the show? Do we not keep the show? Vendors calling saying, please have the show. We need the money. And, then buyers, signing up and seeing the support there, even when this thing was, getting even more serious. I mean, it's been brutal. It really has. And the stress I feel to make sure that we do everything right for the community and not to hurt anyone, and to keep everything strong and support our vendors and support our attendees, and us as the trade show wanting to make sure too that whatever turn we do is right for us, right for the industry. It's been brutal, and it's a tremendous amount of pressure. I mean, it's more so than I can even convey, but the outpouring of love and support that we've gotten from the industry has been absolutely tremendous. And I just want to thank everyone, really from the bottom of my heart, because you guys are keeping us in business as well. So
Well, and building off of what I was saying earlier about the vendors, about reaching out to them, I mean, that's the same thing. I mean, Jenny, when we talked to you right out of the gate, it was keep all of Zombie Army's fees, keep everything we paid in advance, because, well, we need you to show up next year. I mean, frankly, this industry absolutely has to have you show up and have a show next year. And I don't think a lot of people realize that it's so much easier for a business to hold on to your fees and roll them over to the next year's ticket than it is to do refunds and lose it. You guys lost so much money advertising and promoting and getting ready for the show.
A whole year of prep.
Yeah, it's the same thing with the vendors. I mean, the same thing I was saying with supporting vendors. Whatever we can do to support TransWorld, because we need TransWorld. TransWorld makes us better. I mean, I do right here. I would not be nearly as good at what I do if it wasn't for TransWorld and all you beautiful people I see at the trade show. I need all of you people to do what I do for a living. So whatever we could do to roll over fees, if anyone out there hasn't done that yet, please do it. It's really important. We need TransWorld to be able to afford next year.
We're coming up on a time where there's going to be lots of choices that we make. One of the things that I do often is when I'm making choices, is this good for me? Is this good for the industry? Because there's things that we can do as a vendor. Is it good for the industry? Maybe not. Maybe it isn't. But right now, boy, it's never been more black and white. A lot of the gray of the choices that we make are being taken away. There's no gray in it anymore. It's will this choice help? Will this choice help the industry? Will this choice help a vendor? Does that vendor help the industry?
Yeah.
Then I want to help that vendor. The ones that I'm buying from, I am buying from vendors who I think innovate. I mean, that's just a personal choice. You might love clowns.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna buy from the vendors who do clown stuff because I need haunt clowns to survive. Maybe that's your attitude. Whatever it is, you make that choice and you help. We have by buying from vendors, by rolling over fees, by making sure you go to TransWorld next year, by making sure you go to MHC and making it the best show it can possibly be. as the world is kind of perking its head up out of hibernation. We are at a very interesting time, and the choices we make are going to define our industry. That is every single person who is making choices right now. It all adds up.
True.
True.
Yeah, I talked to all the vendors. Like they.
Okay, guys, I think we talked a while. I mean, it's pretty crazy, and a lot of people definitely have a lot of feelings about this, and they're sharing them. And yeah, like I said, yeah, the outpouring of support is amazing. And yeah, guys, we really do support you. You support TransWorld. We want to support the industry and the vendors. I think most people are here to do whatever we can to get through this. It's sort of like in this event, you're looking out for your friends, you're looking out for your family, you're looking out for your coworkers, and you're looking out for your industry. And I think that's what we all need to do. We probably should wrap this up because the video gets any longer, no one will watch it.
That's true. That's true.
Rich and Jen, you got anything else final things you want to tell us? Any notes or anything? Anything forthcoming? Any ideas you want to tell us about?
I think in the next 10 days to 2 weeks, we'll have
Pretty
clear in picture of what's going on, and we'll make sure. The one thing we are going to do is we're not going to go dark, and as we get information, we're just going to keep sending emails and communicating with both buyers and attendees to try to make sure whatever we choose to do makes sense for everyone. It's not just about what we think, but it's going to be a collaborative effort.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, thank you all for being here. We're gonna do our best. We're gonna, like you said, we're gonna beat this thing. Yes.
I'm sure people are going to want to know when this website's going live.
Anyway,
I would expect it to probably be live sometime next week, early next week.
Vendors, get out there, get on that website.
3/19. Yeah, you guys really need to. I got a preview of it. You got to get your videos. I think Chad's been putting out lots of stuff. Get your videos to him. Yeah. So they can get up there on that site.
We need the data. That's the problem. And what's the hold up? The website's been done for a while. And I want to give a shout out to Hunt Guru. He's the guy that's behind building it all for us. He's been tremendous. His name is Darren Thomas. If you need any kind of website work, he is amazing. Him and Chad together. Chad's done all the graphic art for it. And he's done everything. And this guy has done it. He's just done an amazing job working around the clock. We've had 5 days. Most people can't build a website in 5 days. He's built it. He's been uploading all the data. Taught me how to do some. I've been uploading a lot. And all we're waiting for now is the vendors to get us their information. When we can get that and we have at least 60% of the vendors live up on the website, we're going to go live with it. So I don't think everyone's going to be on there when it goes live, but I'm expecting early next week to get this thing out there. So, we're looking forward to it. And if there's anything you can do, call your vendors now and let them know that you're going to be looking at their stuff and you're going to be buying.
Cool. Well, good deal. Anything else final from you guys? Anything else?
I want to say thank you because thank you to everybody who is taking this lump and getting up. That's what we have to do as a vendor, as a haunter. I had to cancel our St. Patrick's show the weekend before TransWorld. We had to make that call to cancel. Nowhere near on the scale of TransWorld, but it's a lump. You got to take your lumps. We're taking it, but we're still getting up. Don't give up on stuff, man. Get ready for October. Get ready to salvage what has happened. And thank you for taking your lump and getting up.
Yeah. But these people, everyone is going to be in a cabin for so long. Come October, they're going to want to get out and have fun and get scared, right? We're going to kill it like we always do, right?
Indeed.
So, right. What is the?
Thanks, guys, and I just want you to know we all love you.
All right, guys.
All right. Well, thanks for listening.
All right. I guess
thanks for everybody coming on.
And also, one last thing, I believe we might be doing more of these if it warrants. So we might do more of this informational stuff, and we're going to try to work with TransWorld to help them get out the word however we possibly can. So thank you guys all. All right. I guess It's time to say goodbye.
Goodbye,
everybody.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.